All right, and we're live. Hi, everyone. My name is Molly Oyua, and I'm with Sacred Fire Creative. We help women business owners make an impact in the world through branding, web design, and marketing. And today I have the honor of having as a guest Anita Ramachandran, and she is the director of MicroMentor. And that is also a part of Mercy Corps, which many of you have heard of, and many of you have also used MicroMentor. So I know we have questions. If you're catching us live, it would be great if you press the heart button or type your comments in questions and comments in the comments area. And then also, if you are visiting us after the fact and catching the replay, go ahead and share this with everybody you know. We're trying to get the word out about MicroMentor and also about NAVO. So we're going to be talking about that a little bit later. So first of all, with Anita on here. Anita, hi, how are you today? I want to have you introduce yourself. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background, how you got to MicroMentor?
Hi, Molly. Nice to be doing this with you. And I'm Anita Ramachandran, as Molly said, and I have the privilege of working on a cool initiative like MicroMentor within Mercy Corps. I've had a sort of a peppered history of how I've gotten here. Working at an NGO, running a mentoring program was 20 years ago. I probably wouldn't, if you'd asked me what I would be doing, this probably wouldn't have been my answer. But I went to school with a degree in environmental science, and then went and got my MBA from Portland State University, worked in corporate marketing and operations for a few years for companies, Fortune 500 companies. But at the same time, since the age of 23, I co-founded and ran a nonprofit that helps South Asian women who are victims of domestic violence. So my life was always on a sort of a parallel of working in sort of the corporate world and doing nonprofit and volunteering on the side, and it was sort of two lives. And at some point, about 5-6 years ago, I really was going through some major transitions, personally and professionally, and I decided that I really needed to bring some congruence, be able to use whatever skills I had in my time for good, and be able to do that full time. And that's when I started exploring opportunities, and the timing was perfect. Mercy Corps was looking for someone to support the MicroMentor initiative, specifically somebody that had a combination of nonprofit and for-profit background and had a business, had sort of some sort of a business sense to think through a business model for MicroMentor. So even though it's an initiative within a large agency, we run it very entrepreneurially. And so that's sort of how I got here. I've been in the leadership role at MicroMentor for about a little over a year now, and I can't say enough about how much I enjoy my work, my colleagues, the people that we work with, and the lives that we touch.
That's amazing. I love your story. Thank you so much for sharing too. And it looks like we have Diana Hoff on, so I'll just bring her little message out. She says hi to both of us. Hi, Diana. Wonderful to have you here. If you have questions, please go ahead and type your questions in the comments for Anita. I would love to be able to answer them live for her. And again, if you're catching this on the replay, go ahead and type in your questions. I know that we'll be monitoring this, and we'll get back to you. One of the things that you mentioned, I know that you've had the corporate experience, you mentioned congruence. And for me, that is so important. And that's why personally, my mission is to help really bring the lives of women business owners into their business so that they can create that outward ripple and that impact in the world that they're looking for. I feel like each of us really has a desire to create meaning in our lives, and to do that through our work is one of the most fulfilling ways that we can do it, right?
Yeah.
And so I love that you're here representing MicroMentor, but also you have this deep passion for it in everything that has brought you this way. Can you, you mentioned the entrepreneurial aspect of what you're doing. Can you talk about that a little more? I'm trying to grasp. I know that MicroMentor is part of Mercy Corps, but how does that make it, entrepreneurial, intrapreneurial? Can you talk about that?
Yeah. So, MicroMentor, it's a technology platform, and I'll talk a little bit more about it in a bit, I'm sure. But it's a tech platform, and so this initiative is a little bit unique within a large international NGO like Mercy Corps. Mercy Corps operates in over 40 countries around the world, and our work sort of spreads around disaster relief, emergency response, international aid, and we work in many different contexts. MicroMentor has a unique history. It started at the Aspen Institute to support micro entrepreneurs in the United States, and it stayed as sort of this this innovation and this innovative idea that Mercy Corps was incubating to see how we could continue leveraging a tech solution to support micro entrepreneurs, but also to see if and Mercy Corps' ethos, innovation. And being able to test out new ideas is really part of Mercy Corps' ethos. So it really, as an agency, they believe in this, whether we're working in a development context or in emergency response. We try to think about, how does innovation play a role, and how do we, cultivate that and foster that within the agency. So MicroMentor was a great example of an initiative that was brought in from the Aspen Institute and was sort of said, okay, why don't you test out whether you can support entrepreneurs around the world with access to mentoring through this tech platform, and B, how would you find a business model that could be sustainable and you could be sort of run this as a venture. And that's where the intrapreneurial comes in. So MicroMentor sort of runs a little bit. I would say they've given us the autonomy to figure out, how would we operate, how would we create impact, but also think about what a business model could be, how we could bring revenue in and keep it as a sustainable program within the agency. So that's sort of where, so we, as MicroMentor itself, I sort of have to think about what is our sales strategy and what's our marketing plan, and, how do we manage our books and our cash flow, and thinking about, our team structure, and we have staff that are based in Mexico and Guatemala and Tunisia, and sort of leveraging across geographical team. So we have an annual planning or a strategy session, and we have to do it virtually. So it's a lot that happens. We run like a startup. So even though we've been running for 10 years, we're like an old startup. we still wear a startup-like hat, and we're working long hours and trying to solve these crazy problems. So it feels very much like a venture, okay. But it sits within the sort of the blessings and we have the support of a large agency, which is incredible.
Okay, I see. Awesome. Thank you so much for clarifying that. I know that for myself, I back in the day took the foundations classes at Mercy Corps Northwest. Yeah. And so as part of Mercy Corps Northwest, you are introduced to MicroMentor. And so even back then, I was asking questions and on the forums of MicroMentor. And then now, since, I've had a lot of experience in my business, I've been able to give back. And that's the way I see it. I don't know how other people consider it, but I consider mentoring a way of giving back in terms of your knowledge or what you've learned through experience and what you know. And so when people have questions that are applicable, I try to go on and just, give them a different perspective, give them an answer. And then there's been a few times where I've been able to say like, okay, this might be a good mentoring match. And so to me, that's how the platform, that's how I use the platform. Are there ways that you recommend that people use the platform, or ways that you see that would be good for people to know about?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm so excited to hear that you are a MicroMentor user. That's so exciting. The fact that you've used it both as an entrepreneur and you're giving back as a mentor made my day. So thank you, Molly. That's awesome. So MicroMentor is, as I mentioned, I'll just give a little bit of context to the viewers that are watching this. It's an online platform. It's open and it's free, and it's available for entrepreneurs all over the world to access it if they're looking for a business mentor. They're just trying to get a question answered from the global community. People go on to micromentor.org. You can create a profile as an entrepreneur or as a mentor, and you can connect with an individual person one-on-one and start a conversation with them. But like you said, a great way to begin is on a Q&A forum. We get On a monthly basis, we're getting close to 1,000 entrepreneurs signing up on MicroMentor, and they're coming from over 100 countries. And so we have such a wide variety of people coming to MicroMentor. They all tend to be early stage to about 2 years into their business, a point in time when most entrepreneurs feel really lonely, and they're tackling really big challenges, staying up at night, like wondering how to figure out cash flow or when their next customer is coming from. Is their marketing strategy right? Do they have their technology set up okay? It's a million questions. And I know how that feels because I get a taste of that myself with running MicroMentor, the MicroMentor business. So MicroMentor was created so that there were no barriers to access. Anybody could sign up and access it. It didn't matter if you had the means or not. If you couldn't pay for a consultant, you still had access. And there are people around the world that are willing to give back just like you are. Mm-hmm. So asking questions on the Q&A forum and connecting with them that way is an excellent way to begin. But most often we find that people create their profile, they search for mentors, and you can filter by industry or experience or language or country preference. And then when you find a suitable list of people that look like a good fit, we ask that you reach out to about 2 or 3 people, because you just never know. I mean, this is a global pool of users. At some point in time, the one person that you may write to may not be available. And we don't want anybody to leave disappointed. So we ask that you reach out to more than one person, and then you never know, because mentors can reach out to you as well. It doesn't have to be just the entrepreneur reaching out to the mentor. And so this is sort of we made it quick and easy for people to send a message, receive a response, and it's not always the best fit. Sometimes it's not the right fit. You may feel like the experience is right, but I'm just not feeling it, or this person is great and so helpful, but they don't seem to have the right background for what I'm looking for. And that's what it's all about, is that mentoring is about finding that right fit. And only you as an entrepreneur will know whether that's the right fit, or a mentor will know whether they are able to give back. So we've made it accessible, and people just communicate on the platform. Or they pick up the phone and get on the call with them, or do a Skype, or do an interview on Google Hangouts or a video conferencing tool like this.
Wonderful. Yeah, I mean, I know that it's an amazing resource. People can even just look up questions that have been asked and see the answers, because they can get value just by being there and seeing what is being asked. Mm-hmm. What do you see, that now this is like the big picture, like stepping back, what do you see as like the vision for MicroMentor going forward? What's the next step? What's happening with MicroMentor?
We about 4 years ago, MicroMentor was making about 700 to 900 connections annually, meaning that on a mentor-mentee match. We sort of had, some philanthropic investment from corporate foundations, there were several companies that contributed money and allowed us to sort of grow MicroMentor's technology base, get a bigger presence online, and we today make 10,000 connections a year. So annually, we're making 10,000 connections a year around the world. But we know that even with that level, we're only scratching the surface. Mm-hmm. There are, millions of people that are seeking entrepreneurship as a way of life, just because they have that fire in the belly. They know they have an idea and they want to do it, but a little help will take them a long way. But we also know, and especially being within Mercy Corps, we're constantly seeing the number of displaced people around the world, the vulnerable communities that are, and young people around the world that are seeking employment. And we know that entrepreneurship could be a way out for them. It may not be something that they're doing because they have the idea, but it might be that they have to. That might be a good way. And so we want to make MicroMentor available to millions of people around the world. And our goal is to take MicroMentor to that next level. Be able to now go from 10,000 connections to 100,000 connections, and do that thoughtfully, so we're able to make each interaction a quality interaction. So how could we develop resources that are more meaningful to our entrepreneurs and mentors? And frankly, our global community right now is our best sort of lab. We see the trends that are happening. We're seeing the number of people that are signing up. What are their biggest challenges? So yeah, our goal is to be able to grow the number of users that are accessing MicroMentor. And while we're doing that, we want to make sure that they are having a meaningful engagement, whether it's their question being answered or whether they're finding a mentor that they can connect with for 3 to 5 years, or it's just a 1 month quick, 3 or 4 questions being answered. We just want to make MicroMentor the one-stop shop for people that are looking for a mentor to grow their business.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I know that. So one of the things that I've done on the MicroMentor site is somebody reached out to me for mentorship. And then I realized that I knew somebody that might be a better fit for them. And so this is what I did. So I reached out to this lady, and I can remember this. And I said, hey, there's this person on MicroMentor. I think you could really help them. I don't know if you're interested in mentoring. And, it's really interesting. So everybody, people are busy, right? And everybody's at a different stage in their business. And she basically told me, I don't have the time for that. I don't have the time for that. And she said that some of the connections she's made weren't kind of at that level of engagement that you would hope, Mm-hmm. So do you get these objections, or what do you say to that sort of thing? I mean, here I am, I'm thinking like, oh, I want to help this person and I want to, make this connection for them. I may not personally be the right fit at the time, or for the things they're seeking. Maybe they're more, like financial or something like that. And so I'm referring them out, or even connecting them on MicroMentor. What are some, of the objections or suggestions you have?
Yeah, no, and first of all, thank you for doing that referral, because that's the way that we want our community to grow, is for people to be able to reach out to their networks. There's only so much, we can do. We're a small team, we're really lean, and we're trying to do so much. So there's this sort of network effect of people using it and being able to refer out is fantastic. So thanks for doing that. And it's absolutely natural. We find people that come to MicroMentor, they might create a profile but not do anything because for whatever reason, perhaps life happened, something took them away, some sort of priority might have taken them away from this. They might have come with the best of intentions to give back, but never were able to follow through on it because maybe their work got them busy, or, anything can happen. Things can happen to us, and we have the best of intentions to do this or that, and we get sort of sidetracked, and I think that's understandable. And we do see a lot of people that might come to MicroMentor but not engage, or they might have expected a certain form of interaction. It's possible that people come to MicroMentor and think that they'll connect with one person and it'll be their mentor, like sort of the big brother, big sister type program, where they may end up with a really strong connection with one person. They'll keep, communication alive, and it's possible that they might have that vision, and that's not happening. And so they might feel like, well, this is not quite aligned, and it's okay. We are seeking goodness out of people, and we are seeking that they give time from their busy lives and give back. And it's and if not today, who knows, in 3 or 4 years your friend might come back and say, you know what, I think I have time now. I wasn't in a point in time in my life where I was able to do it, but today I can, and that's perfectly fine. We want to make it sort of accessible for the mentors as well. We work with corporations where we offer this as an employee engagement tool for their employees to volunteer their time as well. And we tell them, if you have only 30 minutes, just go and answer a question on the Q&A forum. Because if you're a digital marketing specialist, there are people who are looking to optimize their sites, and they've just never done this before. So if you can just answer a question or two, really helpful. If you are retired and you feel like this is something that you can do longer term, or you have a lot more hours to give, or you're taking a break, or you just have a sabbatical from work and you think you can do a 3-month relationship with someone, then go for it. But the idea is that there between, like I mentioned, 1,000 entrepreneurs coming a month to MicroMentor. There is a variety of need there. Some of it is quick and dirty, just answer a question and leave. And some of them may not even be a business challenge. It might be that they just are struggling with not having the confidence to take that next step. And some of our mentors play that role. They play the role of a life coach. And some of them are subject matter experts, and others are, have been entrepreneurs before, so they know, they've been there, they've done that, and they can walk you through some of the steps. So it just takes a variety. It takes a whole village to to support an entrepreneur. And, if there is something that you can give back, whether it's 30 minutes or, 3 months, it's all available, and it's all good.
Yeah. I definitely can remember one of the first questions I asked on MicroMentor was about my CRM, the customer relationship manager. And so just getting, some feedback about what to try was really helpful. And so, I continue to go on and answer questions and help people out. But one of the things that we talked about maybe just for a few minutes right before we went live is the perception of mentoring. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure. I have benefited from having had so many mentors through my life, but I never thought of them as mentors. Now that I'm in the business of mentoring, I've often looked back, and whether I've, spoken at conferences or, had, just sort of pondered about mentoring, I look back on my life and I think about the people that made sort of these big pivotal change, helped me, make these big decisions, or were part of these points in time in my life trajectory. Whether it was in my school, back I was in India. I was born and raised in India, and I moved to the United States when I was 18. So they were teachers that influenced my thinking in a certain way. When I came here and I started at a community college, and I had a professor there who, sort of challenged me to think about what I could be as when I grew up, and made me think about all the possibilities, and sort of how he gently steered me towards maybe courses I could take or things that I could do and books that I could read. And I never thought of him as a mentor at that time. But now when I look back, he played such an important role. There was one person that I had only one informational interview with when I was doing my MBA program. And he taught me about having a personal brand. And I never considered that. And he didn't, it was just a new concept to me. But now when I look back on it, every one of these interactions were like a mentoring relationship, except some were, one lunch 6 years ago. The other was, I've been in touch with this person for 10 years. And, every time I meet, I learn something new. And the teacher in grade school, who helped me think about writing in a different way, she played a different role. So we try to do that on MicroMentor. We try to demystify the concept of mentoring and not make it so heavy that it doesn't have to be this lifelong relationship you find with one person who's going to be everything for you. It is in the context in businesses and entrepreneurship, we know that there are several challenges that entrepreneurs face. And if it could be, we're unlocking one door or unlocking many doors, they're all helpful. I've had mentors now. So now I have official mentors. I have a mentor that helped me think through a lead generation and a prospecting strategy. And he sort of walked me through thinking through that and how it could be. And that's great. Now I'm thinking about more in the nonprofit terms and doing business development or fundraising. And so that strategy is not quite as applicable, but it has helped me think about that. And I'm working with a different mentor to think through operationalizing MicroMentor in a slightly different way. So it's just, I think opening your horizon and your mind to the concept of mentoring and not feeling like it needs to be any prescribed way. And frankly, I don't think there is a prescription to it. And that's what we try to mimic on MicroMentor. There are relationships that people have had, and they've been working with the same mentor for 3 years. Or, like you said, it's one question and they get a question answered and they can move on. So we want this to be that, mentoring is accessible. People around the world want to give back. And there is an innate goodness in everyone. And so we just have to give them more forums like MicroMentor to be able to do it and do it easily and make it flexible and give people the opportunity. And some get hooked. And we have some mentors who've mentored 200 entrepreneurs. Mm-hmm. And it's incredible. Like it's almost like their life's work now is to be a mentor and MicroMentor. Yeah. So it's we obviously want more of those, but we know that we'll take it in any form that it comes because it does make a difference.
Yeah, I love it. I think that for me, mentoring is part of my personal mission. And so it's heartwarming to hear you say all of this. I feel like I'm gonna go back on MicroMentor more, even more than I did before, you know, and really pour into the people that I see that need help in that digital marketing space or in web design or, you know, the space that I'm in. One of the things I also want to do right now is just take a moment to acknowledge my mentors. I've had so many, so I just want to say a few. Locally, Stephanie Arnheim and Diana Hoff have been amazing mentors, and Dana Corey, and then also globally, Sandra Yancey and Maria Andros have been my mentors. And so one of the mentors I just mentioned is Diana Hoff, and she is the executive director for our NABO Oregon chapter. And NABO is a National Association of Women Business Owners. And so I'll put that up on the screen. And we are so fortunate to have you as our speaker this month, later this month. And so if anybody's interested, you can go to nabooregon.org. But do you want to give us any kind of preview, anything we should know as we're going into this, or why do we want to come and hear you speak?
Well, thank you. I'm so excited, and it gives me an idea that I should probably give a shout out to my mentors. I talked about Joel Magnuson from my community college days, Chris Bright, who's the VP of marketing at the local company called Zapproved, who's been a great mentor. And I've most recently started working with Brian Wendt, who was a former CEO of the Build-A-Bear Corporation. So he's serving as a mentor for me right now. And I've had I've been good fortune of having many, many more mentors. I just won't go through that list.
Likewise.
I'm really excited. Empowering women, because I genuinely believe around the world can be game changers. You empower one woman, it impacts not just that individual person, but the role model that she is for her children, whether it's daughters or sons or family members, and then the communities benefit significantly from having sort of an empowered woman business owner. So I'm extremely passionate about the idea of supporting women entrepreneurs, and so feel honored that I can actually be at the NABO event this month. MicroMentor gives us the ability, like I said, it's to see trends that are happening with hundreds and sometimes thousands of users. And what I would like to share with the audience that day is sort of what sort of things we see around mentoring. What are some common resources and tools that people could use in their own mentoring relationships? How they can make the most out of a mentoring relationship? How do you show up as a mentor? How do you show up as a mentee? What sort of contributes to success? We can talk about sort of, what is the profile or the journey of somebody that has had a really successful mentoring relationship, and what are some pitfalls that you can fall into with mentoring, depending on where you go. You can end up with an experience that feels like sort of, that wasn't so great. And what are some ways that you can avoid that? So I'm going to use a lot of the information we see from the MicroMentor community and share some trends and tools and resources and tips and tricks for having a good mentoring relationship, whether you're on the receiving end or the giving end of it.
That's wonderful. Well, I'm so looking forward to seeing you again later this month at the NABO meeting and learning more about how to be a better mentee and a better mentor, because I see myself in both. And I think that being an entrepreneur is just such a growing process. You're always working on yourself, and you're always, looking to others for help. We don't do it by ourselves, obviously. And so I just love what you're doing. And I just thank you so much for being here, being present, coming on live to share your wisdom and share your story. And also just being there later this month at NABO. Thank you so much, Anita.
Thank you, Molly. It's been an honor, and I'm so excited to be there as well. And thanks. This is my first Facebook Live anything. So I'm so glad that it kicked off with something like this. So thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Great. My pleasure. All right, you guys, thank you so much. If you're catching this on the replay, please do share it and comment for us. Thanks so much. Bye.
Bye.